Hi, I've been catching up on some of the major awards contenders for the year, and most recently I watched Air, Amazon's story about the creation of the Air Jordan shoe line at Nike. It's directed by Ben Affleck, who co-stars as the company's CEO, but it focuses on their basketball coach, played by Matt Damon, who's looking for a new group of players to stimulate the company's basketball shoe section, which is currently only the third biggest in America. He uncovers this great new talent, Michael Jordan, and convinces the organization to back him in their entirety rather than a group of players, and thus completely revolutionizes the basketball shoe industry. It's a dreadful film. It's it's never less than competent. Affleck has shown himself to be a competent director. He has directed a Best Picture winner at the Oscars, but he is never a particularly interesting or creative or distinctive director. Um, and all of that would be forgivable under normal circumstances, and indeed it's forgivable here. But the film's script seems to think that a company's struggle to to go from being a $1 billion business to being a multi-billion-dollar business sets them up as being an underdog in some way, and the bizarre focus of making the heroes not the athlete himself, not Michael Jordan himself, a once in a lifetime talent. Even I'm aware of that, despite my dislike of sport in general. The real heroes are the agents and the executives and the contract makers, which explains why this script was on the blacklist in Hollywood for such a long time, which is voted on by agents and managers who love reading scripts about how important they are, which is why Hollywood keeps giving Oscars to films about Hollywood. Um, so it's a film where the underdog is already massively successful, but needs to be even more successful for some unknown reason. It's a film where the real heroes are not the producers, not the talented, not the skilled, but the brokers, the managers, the agents. Jordan himself appears in several scenes, but it's deliberately shot so that you don't see his face. There's one hilarious shot where his parents are facing the camera during a meeting, but Jordan himself has his back to the camera and is looking randomly at some picture on the wall, and it just looks like they're trying to disguise the fact that the actor they have playing him doesn't look like Jordan. Excuse me. He only says one word on the telephone towards the end of the film. I mean, sidelining him to this point is really ridiculous. Um, the film is on this level kind of a joke. It's so hard to take seriously because it has this bizarrely skewed aspect of perception that the managers and the agents are the really interesting ones, not Jordan's family and how they negotiated such an incredibly lucrative deal despite having apparently no business background at all, and they effectively had Nike over a barrel. That's much more interesting. Jordan going from being basically a nobody almost overnight to being extraordinarily wealthy. That's interesting. A basketball scout using this to further his career and the success of his own business is not interesting. And I think that given that this is the reteaming of Affleck and Damon, who also co-wrote the script, although without credit, um, I think they're still underdogs. They are two of the most successful people in Hollywood. They're not underdogs anymore, and I think they've forgotten that. It's all very well to champion underdogs when you're in a position of great success. That should be commended. But to think that you're still the same as them is really absurd, and it feels like Ben Affleck, who married to one of the world's most beautiful women, director of an Oscar-winning movie, one of the most successful writer, producer, director, actors of the generation, thinks of himself as an underdog. That Matt Damon, one of the most acclaimed and successful movie stars of the last 30 years, still thinks he's an underdog. It's absurd. The film is ridiculous. The focus is all wrong. It's competently made, as I say. The acting is generally of a strong standard, but it's just so wrong-headed on every level. It's ridiculous.